2.2 now, which asks us what is the beta of the fund. In other words, what's the beta of this entire portfolio? So usually this is very, very simple. All we need to do is we need to take the beta values of the individual stocks and weight it according to the percentage of what that stock makes up. So if, for example, for argument's sake, right, and we know this is not the case, but let's say stock X had 0.25 of its funds invested into Fund Q has 0.25 of its financial assets invested into stock X. It has 0.15 invested into this stock over here, and it has 0.6 invested into this stock over here. Then all we need to do is we need to take the weights, right? The weights of 0.25 multiplied by this beta value, 0.15 multiplied by this beta value, and 0.6 multiplied by this beta value. Once we find that, we simply sum it up and we get the beta value for the entire portfolio. So that was, for argument's sake, if I had these weights. Now, what you should be aware of is that we don't have these weights. We are aware that these weights are 0.333 recurring, which means it is 1/3 of the portfolio's assets invested into this. So I'm going to put the weights over here, or the percentage of its assets. Right, the assets or the funds, weight of funds that it makes up in the portfolio. So it's 1/3. Over here it's also 1/3, and over here it's 1/3. Okay, so when we calculate the beta of the fund, we can simply say that beta of the portfolio, let's just fix our spelling over there. Okay, is equal to, it's just basically the sum which is simply the sum of I equals 1 or up to n, right? I equals 1 up to n of xi, which is basically the weights of, each fund. That's what I'm talking about over here, which I'm going to call xi, multiplied by beta I. So if we're talking about 1/3, then we multiply it by that. So let's just do that. This sigma notation simply means that we have to add them up. So when we add them up, it's going to be 0.8, right? This is the first beta value multiplied by the weight that holds in the fund, which is 1/3. I'm sorry, I turned it around, but it should be fine. And then we do it again for the second beta value, which is 1.2, multiplied by how much that fund holds, which is 1/3, plus 1.6 multiplied by what that fund holds, which is 1/3. And we can put that entire thing on the calculator. I'm not going to work them out individually, but that's 0.8. 0.8 multiplied by 1/3 plus 1/3 multiplied by 1.2 plus 1/3 multiplied by 1.6, right? And so we can clearly see that we now have a fund or a portfolio beta of 1.2. So this says we basically have 1.2 times as much systematic risk for our entire portfolio. Okay, and that's question 2.2 for 3 marks.